Hey there folks, welcome to Diablo 2. So I'm going to be talking about a gold find sources. As you can see on the right hand side, I've got some gear listed out. I'm going to do a bit of an overview to start off with and then do a little more in-depth stuff later on. So starting off, what are we running? We're running Travincal, and since I'm playing single player, I'm running at players 3. You know, you can do this at different tiers depending on, like, if you're online and you're doing this in other people's games, and you know you have to combine this with other runs. But for single player, for having control of the players count, players 3 is going to be the best best middle ground between reducing the no drop chance of the minions and not having too much health and damage from your enemies. We're running for Gold Find, so we've got Gold Find pretty much wherever we can fit it in. And the other thing we're really focused on is getting 63% faster cast rate. If you have the gear, if you have the god tier crafted items, then you can go by what I've got on the right hand side. Also, you'll notice I have 1.07 War Travelers listed. If you have access to those, they are higher gold find amount than anything you can get in the current patch. So if you can get 1.07 War Travelers, are the easiest to find, but also older rare boots, and like especially classic boots. Classic boots can get up to like 125%. I traded for a pair from Nulio a while back. You see these have 118%. The max you can get in the current patch is 80%. So if you're serious and you're, like, I guess, non-ladder on the realms, I think, you know, has access to these old patch items. If they're out in the trade pool, or if you're single player, you can go farm them yourself. But for people on the ladder, or just people playing the current patch, you're looking at like 80% rare boots there. Otherwise, the stuff is pretty straightforward. So we're starting off at 450% extra gold sword. There's really not a lot of competition here. The way Gold Find works, every bit counts just as much, no matter how high you go. There's no diminishing returns, so this is incredibly strong. This, in terms of efficiency, will help you out more than a Death's Fathom if the rest of your gear is okay. We do use the Nightwing's Veil to get a little bit more strength, or a little bit more power in our attacks. It's a little bit more proportional to sacrifice our head slot than to sacrifice our weapon slot. I only have one decent Nightwing's Veil, and it had a facet for running normal Travincal runs for, you know, magic find and fast going and all that. So I don't have a limb there, but you would ideally have a limb. Also, ideally, you would have a crafted amulet that had faster cast rate, sorc skills, and gold find. I don't. This is actually the only 2 sorc skill crafted amulet I have. Sad face, tears, tears. Also, ideally, you would have the faster cast rate be higher. Because my faster cast rate is low, and I don't have a crafted belt, this is just a regular rare, I'm running Skin of the Viper Magi also for 2 reasons. One, to get the faster cast rate, which I could get other ways. 2, because I don't have good resistance charms for this build. I don't have resistance charms with magic find, or gold find rather, so I'm getting a huge chunk of resistances from the Skin of the Viper Magi. 35% spirit, you could get away with lower, but keep in mind, you're trying to hit 63% faster cast rate with as few gear pieces as possible. So, yeah. Note that I don't need the faster cast rate on this amulet for the build, but yeah, I'm running it mostly for the +2 skills and the mana. The resistances are also helpful. Otherwise, you could just run Mars. I had it on there with another setup, and I'm too lazy to change it, truth be told. Chance guards, this is just, again, this is a straight 200% extra gold. You can't get away from it. Dwarf stars serve double duty. We'll talk about that in a minute, but the main thing is the 100% extra gold. A belt, again, crafted would be ideal if you can make that work. But personally, I'm not enough into gold find runs to spend amethyst on belts when they could be spent on amulets instead. And then your rare boots or whatever you can find. Again, these 3 items in the current patch, you're limited to 80% on the extra gold you can get. Charms wise, you want a Guide's Fortune, 160% gold find if you can get it, however high you can otherwise. Past that, you want Skillers with gold find if at all possible. You want you're probably going to need at least 1 Serpent's Grand Charm of whatever, ideally of Greed. And if you have some resist charms, some shimmering Grand Charms of Greed, that would be amazing. Likewise, if you have shimmering small charms of Greed. However, I don't. Mostly your small charms, you're going to want resistances and extra gold find. On Switch, it's just a call to arms and a spirit. This is a 1.10 beta call to arms for the Merc. So there are multiple options here. Infinity isn't really up for debate. Infinity is kind of necessary to make the build work, really. Otherwise, you've always got at least 1 cold immune council member, and that's a problem. You can go with Guardian Angel and Kira's Guardian and be absolutely fine. But I'm going with Chains of Honor and Steel Shade because, so, I'm going to get technical here. Bear with me. For whatever reason, the council members, when they summon Hydras, when they hit the player, that damage is subject to the PvP penalty, so you only take 17% of that damage. Which means that for running Travincal, the most damage you can take per bolt, per Hydra, from a Hydra, is 28 damage. So, looking again, 2 Dwarf Stars can get us more than 28 magic damage reduction, which means we are invulnerable to Hydras. Okay? But the PvP penalty does not count on damage to Mercs, hirelings, or pets. So, whereas we're taking a maximum of 28 damage, the Merc is taking a maximum of 164 damage. So you really need to have his resistances high. The Guardian Angel and Kira's Guardian, if you can hit the 90% resist all that Guardian Angel will give you, you get that number down to about 14, between 14 and 15 damage on average per bolt to the Merc. With this setup, either using Fortitude or Chains of Honor with Steel Shade, with plus 11 fire absorb, that is quite important, you can get to about 15 damage on average per bolt, which obviously is a little bit more damage taken, but you're getting, a huge increase in damage from your Merc, which is important when Ismail rolls cold immune and just in general when he gets a few pokes in. It's not a huge deal. You don't have to be like, oh god, I've got to make a Chains of Honor. The difference is really, really small. If you've got a GA, a Guardian Angel, and a Kira's, run that, you'll be fine, but this will give you a little bit more damage. I'm running Chains of Honor. It's got Life Leech, little bit of Magic Find, which doesn't really matter. The main thing here is a huge amount of resistances, which makes it more likely that we stay at 75 res all under Conviction, which you get if you run Fortitude is a very small amount more damage. You're talking like 300% damage from Fortitude against the 220 plus whatever you get plus to jab from Chains of Honor, so it's a very small difference. More defense from Fortitude and a little bit extra life, which honestly, those are all kind of samey with the Life Leech from Chains of Honor. Either way is fine. So we've kind of gone over the gear. We've kind of gone over the Merc, as far as skills go, right? Just in case you've never done a Blizzard Sorceress, which is what this is going to be, you'll probably want to point in Warmth. You're always, for every Sorceress ever, going to want Teleport, Telekinesis, and Static Field. And then Cold Mastery, you'll have a few points in, but your main points are going to be in Ice Bolt, Ice Blast, Glacial Spike, and Blizzard. That's Blizzard and all of its synergies. So, Static Field, actually, if you're running a dedicated version of this build, or if you just want to spec specifically for it, putting more points in Static Field would be good, because getting the health down is a huge, huge boost. 12 yards seems to be what some people are saying they really like. I'm just keeping it where it is at present, but yeah, you can definitely pump that up if you feel like you need it. So yeah, let's actually get to a little bit of running here. So, keep in mind that since you're running, wow, if I can actually cast right skills. Infinity instead of Insight, you're going to have a little bit of mana needs. Also, note that map is really important. Obviously, if you are playing the ladder, you're playing online, you don't have static maps, so, but you also have the, you get kicked out if you log in too quickly, so that kind of cancels out. It doesn't matter that you can't have a 30-second map. Speaking of 30-second maps, run counter. You are not running. Please, sir. But for single player, what you really want to make sure you've got is a map where, as much as possible, the council is congregated in one area. Because remember, your main killer is Blizzard, and if you can have everything in the area of the Blizzard, then not only can you like damage it all at the same time, but more importantly, or well, addedly importantly, you can hit it all with your static field at the same time. It's a huge, huge difference. Obviously, your map could be much better than mine, but yeah, see, we don't have quite enough range to hit Galeb there all the time, so that's one pretty clear vote towards having more points in static field and just a little bit more in the way of indication. Let's do one more run. And so the amount of gold you're going to get is going to vary widely, but understand that if you have like back-to-back really good runs, you can fill up your inventory just in those 2 runs. So it's not necessary to empty every after every run, but you know, you certainly can. And yeah, I'll grab those boots, and that's not what I wanted. So yeah, hopefully that's useful. A little bit in the way of explanatory of doing this. If there are any questions, of course, you can feel free to ask. Anything I didn't go over. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope to see you some other time.